Wasn't the same.
Welcome back. Now we're having a meat-free Monday today.
We certainly are. The firefighting chef Paul Knapp is here. Good morning to you, Paul.
Morning, guys.
We're not only having a main, we're having a starter and a dessert.
It's World Vegan Day.
World Vegan Day.
So what we showcased is a little three-course meal, just to show you that you can actually have a little bit of everything.
Look at these. These are great.
These are cauliflower
Buffalo wings, yeah. So they're slightly spicy. They are hot. There's a little bit of a kind of a sour cream, which is dairy-free dressing on there as well.
No.
And then we made you a little crumble just to finish with a little bit of plant-based cream.
Yeah. But your main dish
today
stew.
is actually, so all we're going to do, we've just substituted one ingredient. So we've taken the meat out and we've put in the lentil in. Okay, so that's all we're going to do with this. So as you said there, you were talking about you like a mince stew.
Yeah,
so
I make my stew with mince.
Absolutely.
And people might make it with beef and stuff, but I love the mince
So
stew.
texturally, it's going to be really, really the same. So what we've got is the ingredients. We've got some onions, we've got some carrots, we've got some celery, we've got garlic, we've got mushrooms, and what we've got there is the lentils instead of the meat. Put in some herbs, a little bit of wine, a little bit of tomato, and off we go. And if you think about it, there's the climate crisis change in Glasgow at the moment, and they're talking about things about sort of like a quarter of all greenhouse emissions are coming from food and sort of like industrialised agriculture, animal agriculture. So there's a huge carbon footprint that we're actually eating. So let's get on with this.
They are trying to push us towards vegan, more vegetarian. Just even separate, just not having meat every
day.
Yeah.
Just if we can reduce this down, but also as well, let the food speak for itself. Classic flavours, classic tastes, classic textures.
I have to say, I love chicken wings, but these buffalo cauliflower, whatever you call them, delicious.
Absolutely. So we look for. So what we've got here is all the ingredients are up on Island Am's Facebook page as well as Virgin Media One's website. So we've got a pan, we've got some nice hot oil into that. So we're going to put in there some chopped onions. So we've got a whole onion goes into there, and we want to kind of fry this off. All right. So we're going to put in there a couple of carrots go in there as well, and we're going to pop in there as well some celery. So those are your classic stew ingredients that we would have grown up with classically, okay? And all we're going to do is we're going to sweat these down. So we want these to kind of soften, we want these to brown, and just crank this up a little bit and get a little bit more heat into the pan. So we'll be frying these down. You like those, dear?
I love these.
So this is fast forward for TV time.
I'm all about a starter, you know.
You want your dinner, young man?
You're all about a starter.
Don't care for dessert at all.
Oh no, I'm the same.
I think you need to rub his hands. Okay, and get down to his level. All right. So all we're going to do now is we sweat these down. These are fast forwarded for TV time. Okay, so this will be cooking down overall for about 10 minutes. But what we're going to do is we're just going to kind of speed this up just to show you. So after about 5 minutes, we're going to introduce there about 4 cloves of garlic. So again, there's nothing fancy gone into this. It's just your classic kind of your stew ingredients. And again, we're adding these later on into the dish because we don't want to burn them, all right? Because there's nothing worse than burnt garlic. And so that will really taint and taste the dish. So we will be cooking these down and give that a little bit more welly. Crank that right up.
Do you put the mushrooms in whole?
Yeah. Well, it depends on the size of them. Like, these are lovely little button mushrooms. So again, if you think about it from
I'd still cut them up. I would have thought I would still.
You can go 2 ways. If you say, look, you're cooking for kids and you want to hide in the ingredients and the vegetables, cut it up and make it really, really small. If you want that big kind of stew in a bowl kind of thing, leave them nice and big and chunky. Leave your veg big and chunky as well. OK? So we're going to sweat this down.
Next, Joe?
As we're going to do is we're going to add in there a glass of red wine. A glass of red wine goes in there. OK?
Beautiful.
Any old red wine that you want. And what that would do is that would bubble away really nicely, and that will reduce down, reduce down, reduce down, and reduce the flavours down. We're going to put in some fresh thyme. We're going to put in some fresh rosemary as well. If you can't get fresh, you can use dried. Just remember, there's 3 to 1, OK? There's 3 parts. There's 3 parts, well, about 3 times the amount of dried, should we say, or fresh, should we say, to dried, OK? Because they're a little bit stronger, the fresh herbs.
Yeah. What did you add in there now?
That was just a little bit of soy sauce, just for meaty taste.
OK.
A couple of tablespoons of tomato paste goes in there as well. And we're just going to stir all that in, and we're going to put in some flour. And our flour is our thickening ingredient, OK? So what we've got there is this kind of herby red wine roux. And that's now our flavour base for our stew.
Doesn't it?
You can smell the red wine.
Obviously, you don't put any oxo or anything like that.
I'm using a vegetable stock.
You are using a vegetable
absolutely,
stock.
So I'm putting a stock in there, but I'm just putting a vegetable stock into there. OK, and then all I'm putting in there is 400 grams of my button mushrooms. All I've done is just wiped those, just to make sure that there's no kind of muck on them or anything like that. And we're stirring all of this in. It's a really simple and a really easy dish to do, OK? And then what we've got is you can either get a can of lentils, or this is just a couple of lentils cooked in a little bit of veggie stock. And again, it's giving you that same texture of your mincemeat. And we're just going to pop that in there like that.
Sorry now, how quick do you put the lentils in? Do you stick that all in as a pile like you've just done, or
just
would you give it a bit more time?
Just, well, as I say,
after about 10 minutes.
Yeah, about 10 minutes we've cooked off the veggies and stuff like that. So it's a process. One of the last things we'll put in will be our lentils. And then what we do is we put in about 500 to 600 millilitres of stock, and we pop our veggie stock in there like so. And what we would do is we would bring this up to the boil. So what we've got here is we've got this lovely kind of, as you can see, even the colours now, even before this has started to kind of take, and all those flavours start to introduce themselves to each other. We can bring that up to the boil, leave that on the stove, and you can cook that for about half an hour. Or what you can do, as I say, I love
It's
cooking.
only half an hour?
Yeah, because
Half an hour done?
Yeah, because the lentils are already cooked. So I love cooking that thrives on neglect. So all I would do is I would pop that into the oven.
I suppose if it was a beef, you're not letting you need to put it in for hours to let the beef go tender.
Absolutely, yeah. Now what I do is I do leave that in a low and slow for about 140, 150 for about hour and a half. That gives us time to go off and do things with the kids, go off for a walk, go off for a run. And what you get left with then is this lovely, you can see that lovely kind of mushroom ragu. And then just a little bit of creamy mashed potato, just a ladle full of that, and what you've got there is this beautiful hug in a bowl. So you've had your cauliflower wings, and now you've got your stew. Absolutely. So let us know what you think of that.
Oh. When you see the rain and the wind outside yesterday, something like this is just...
And especially when the clocks went back, and you sort of noticed that at 6 o'clock it was dark.
Yeah.
And then you saw, like, say, the leaves everywhere.
Yeah.
So how do we find this?
Nothing nicer than
delicious.
a nice stew and a cold
Really
winter
is
night,
delicious,
isn't it?
And what's for dessert? We've had the cauliflower wings, which is just pieces of cauliflower. How do you do that? And you just put it in the oven?
Absolutely. All day I just made up a little bit of a batter mix, just seasoned that, cooked that off into the oven, and finished with the barbecue sauce and a little bit of, say, dressing. And that's just a classic apple. Well, like I made you there the other day, you loved it so much, I said, you know what, I've got to bring it back for you, which was kind of the baked apples with the granola. Yeah. So again, that's basically the same thing with the plant-based cream. So all I wanted to showcase is that even if you're on a plant-based diet, you don't have to compromise for taste, you don't have to compromise for texture, and you can still feel that comfort full up and sit there on the sofa.
You are definitely spoiling us today because they are very tasty. They really are.
Oh, Knapp,
so tasty.
The firefighting chef, thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Delicious. Now, after the break, star of Mrs. Brown's Boys, Danny O'Carroll, chats to us about returning to our screens and sharing stage with his two sons. We'll see you after these.